Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and today we're going to make this fun little dangle heart. It's an asymmetrical heart because you can see one side is larger, and it kind of, now that I'm looking at it, kind of reminds me of like a butterfly, like a sitting down butterfly. And I guess you can call it a butterfly pendant too. And it uses a tiny little stone here. It's a little faceted amethyst, and it dangles here on this little bail that it has. So I thought this would be a cute one to make in time for Valentine's Day. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. This is my teeny tiny little amethyst, and it appears to be about 6 millimeters. It's a little faceted stone, so it's got that point in the back. And then I'm starting out with one piece of 20 gauge square dead soft copper wire, and it's 8 inches long. I bought this wire from riogrande.com. It is solid copper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my ring mandrel, or if you don't have a ring mandrel, just find something round that you can bend your wire around. Sorry guys, I'm losing my voice a little bit, so if it sounds kind of messed up in this video, that's why. My kids have been kind of sick, and I think they've gotten me sick, so I'm gonna do it around 10.5 for the size, but it doesn't have to be like any specific size, and it could just be any round object that you have in your house. So, and also the little stone that I showed you, your stone doesn't have to be exactly 6 millimeters, just a small little faceted stone will do. So I bend the wire around here, looks like this, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to slowly curve one of the wires, the one that's on top, and then I'm gonna curve the other wire, the one that's on bottom here, and I'm just gonna curve one and then the other and then one until it looks like this. This is very similar. I have a tutorial for a ring with a small faceted stone. So the beginning is the same, but then we're gonna get different after we set our stone here. So I'm actually gonna keep going with this, but as I'm going, I'm not laying my wire super flat. Like, it's flat in the beginning. I'll kind of flatten it down for a sec here. Like this, it's flat against the ring mandrel, and then after this point you want it to actually be raised. See how it's raised? And then as you go with it, as you keep wrapping it around, you want it to start raising upwards. And kind of keep in mind the size of your stone, because you're trying to build a little cage for your stone. So after you've done that for a little bit, and it seems like your stone should be able to fit in there now, you want to put your stone in, but my stone is gonna fall out if I kind of tip this over. So what I have to do is kind of push my stone in there and take my wires and try to bend them onto the edges of my stone. If you need to, you can use your pliers to maneuver your wires a little bit, or to just kind of like press on them to tighten whatever you might be having trouble with getting with your fingers. You can use your pliers. So I'm just pressing this wire just a little closer, and same with this one, like I'm closing up that circle that the stone is peeking through there, because the ultimate goal here is to make it so it doesn't pop out like this. So now we can take that off, our ring mandrel. So you want your stone at this point to be secure, and if you hold it upside down and shake it, it doesn't fall out. If yours falls out, it means the little frame, the little window that the stone is peeking through is too wide and it can fit through. So you need to make it smaller. All right, so I'm gonna press down so nothing here moves out of place. And then I'm gonna take this wire, this one that's kind of going down, and I'm gonna wrap it around this ring sort of wire, even though it's not going to be a ring, it's going to be a pendant. And because this is a short wire, I find it easier to use my pliers here. So I'm wrapping it around and then I'm just pressing down with my pliers like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, just double check the stone hasn't shifted, the wire hasn't moved. I'm going to make this little window just a smidge smaller because I'm nervous that it's like real borderline. So then we're just going to do the same thing on this other side. Taking our wire. This is definitely the hardest part, is trapping the little stone in and making sure it is secure and it's not going to pop out. You can always kind of come in here with your pliers and try to make that frame a little bit smaller if it changed shape or got wider. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to hold our stone and then just this ring portion, we're going to raise it up like this so that it's facing us as well as the stone facing us. And what we're going to do is kind of right above the stone right here, we're going to find this little middle, I'll call it, and we're going to grab it with our pliers, and first we're going to bend it in one direction, and then we're gonna grab it kind of on the other side of that bend, and we're gonna bend it down the other way, and it should start to look like this. So now that you have that, you can try to make it a little pointier because you want to grab this little bend and you want to squish it together like that. So this is going to be our heart. This is an asymmetrical heart because I find that it's really difficult to make it super symmetrical. Let me kind of move this wire out of the way for a second here. It's really tricky to make it symmetrical because here in the back of your stone you have one wire kind of coming out higher and the other one lower. So I find that just making it a fun little asymmetrical heart design is the way to go, rather than trying to drive yourself crazy trying to make it symmetrical. So all I'm gonna do now is just play around with the shape of my heart and just kind of like the edges of it. I'm making them go a little straighter like this. I'm gonna make this kind of point down like that, just until you are happy with the way that the heart looks. And something that you could do that's optional is you could hammer it. So you would need a iron block like this to hammer on, and you would need a chasing hammer. Sorry, I can't hold it all in the air here. You do this on the ground. And what I like to do is use this side because it gives it like a really nice texture. So it's just an optional thing. You would just, do this right on the heart portion. Obviously don't go too close to the stone. So it just gives it a little bit of this nice texture. You can see here. I like it, but it's totally optional. So now I'm just going to work on this wire here. So I'm going to tighten up that little wrap because I kind of had to move it out of my way while I was hammering. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little loop with it. This can be tricky because it's just such a short little piece, and you can try using your pliers to help, or round nose pliers. Those can be pretty helpful as well. If I can get in here with my round nose pliers. There we go. So that's gonna help me make a little loop. Like this, and then I'm just gonna kind of arrange that loop so it's just right here on top of that wire. And then I'm gonna take this little wire end and I'm just gonna put it through and around, just like this. So we just have a small little wire end here, and I'm just going to use my round nose pliers to make a teeny tiny little swirl. Oops. I pinched the little ends of the swirl. That's just how I like to make my swirls. Whatever you do is good. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit. So just like this. There we go. That looks good. Gonna grab my pliers and just press down on that little swirl. Don't want it raised, don't want it to get caught in anything. And now with this one, I'm just gonna do a swirl. You could do the same thing. You can do whatever you want here with the little decorations. But I'm just gonna do one small swirl. So I'm just gonna trim this. And then use my round nose pliers here. Just to squish, 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 and make my little swirl here. All right. Almost got it. There we go. And if your heart got a little bit like smushed down this way, you can hold the stone and you can just press on these edges here to kind of raise it and unsmush it, I guess. All right, and now we're gonna make our bail. So to make our bail, we're gonna use the same exact wire, and the piece that I cut is 2.5 inches long. And so I'm just gonna try my best to find the middle of it and bend it in the middle. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna trim the little wire ends to get them to be equal and even. So I'm just gonna press down on that. Should look like this. And now I'm gonna grab my round nose pliers, my bail making pliers. They look like this. You can use round nose pliers if you don't have these. Just pick like a wider part of your round nose pliers. So if I'm using, oh, these are my regular ones. Hold on, where's my round nose pliers? Here they are. So I'd use like the wider part and then a more narrow part to bend around. But these are easy because you can just pick like a specific size. So I'm going to use this one here, this third size up, to bend this around. Looks like that. And now I'm going to trim these little ends to make them more even, just a little bit, just enough to get them even. Like that. And then I'm going to take the smallest size and I'm just going to curve that up like that, but not all the way closed. Leave like a little tiny gap like that. And we're going to use that little tiny gap to take our pendant here and put it through and attach it, and now you can close that up. Like that on one side, and now we're just gonna come here to the other side and close that up here as well. All right, so now it's connected and closed. If I hold my bail here, here's what that looks like. It's a little dangly, kind of asymmetrical, swirly heart. That's why I tried to do the swirls kind of higher on one side to kind of play along with the asymmetry of it all. And then the last thing you just want to make sure is that your stone is really well trapped in. If any of these wires are starting to kind of open up, making it where they're no longer on the edge of your stone, just press on them, really kind of close up that window, keep it small. I know it covers up some of the stone, but it's really key to your stone not popping out of there. All right, so here's the finished little piece, and I have another one that I made yesterday that's almost identical. You can see here, probably this turned out to be a little more asymmetrical with a bigger and then smaller, and this is, I guess, slightly more symmetrical. But anyway, that's what they look like. Both have little amethysts. So I hope you enjoyed. I think this is a cute one for Valentine's Day. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.